Okay, let's today talk about how to get stronger, how to increase your muscular strength. Before I talk about the true science behind gaining muscular strength, I want to mention that there's been a couple of articles lately in a couple of scientific journals written by researchers. There's a certain, how do I put it, group uh, that claims that strength and muscle size are mutually exclusive. In other words, what they're saying is you could be strong and not necessarily have bigger muscles, and conversely, you could have bigger muscles and not necessarily be strong. Now, there is some evidence to back that up. For example, there's a lot of powerlifters, Olympic weightlifters that are undoubtedly strong, yet the muscle mass they show is not congruent with their strength. In other words, they don't have the big muscles that you'd expect of somebody that is lifting such prodigious weights. And on the other hand, there are bodybuilders, and I've seen this myself. When you see them in the gym, they have huge muscles, but they're lifting lighter weights, weights that you wouldn't expect them to lift, considering the amount of muscle size they have. So, in other words, it would seem that what those scientists are saying is true, that strength and muscle size don't necessarily go together. But that goes against my personal experience and the experience of many, many others. When I trained for bodybuilding years ago, bodybuilding competition, I noticed there was a direct relationship between muscle strength gains and muscle size gains. Now, I should quickly add, I was not a drug-using bodybuilder. I was a so-called natural. I don't use the word natty, which is to me is disgusting. I was a natural bodybuilder. I didn't use any type of anabolic drugs. I just trained with weights and used good nutrition and so on and so forth. But whenever I was able to increase my strength within a short time, I'd notice an increase in muscle size. And the stronger I got, the bigger my muscles got. So I disagree with that. I think there is a relationship between muscle strength and muscle size, but that's, I guess, still open to debate, since some people don't agree with that. But muscle strength is very important. What they found is that as people age, they tend to lose muscle. It's a condition, lean mass muscle. It's a condition called sarcopenia. And this is very bad because the loss of muscle leads to many other possible diseases and loss of mobility, where they can't take care of themselves. They often have to be put in nursing homes, that type of thing. And usually that results from years and years of sedentary activity, especially no resistance training of any kind, because all muscles work on a lose it or use it basis. If you don't use, the whole body works like that. Whatever you don't use in your body, whether it's your muscles or your brain, you're going to lose. So, years and years of no resistance exercise, eventually a person will develop sarcopenia. But what develops even faster is a loss of strength. There's a certain term for it, which I honestly don't remember at the moment, but the loss of strength is even greater than the loss, faster, I should say, more rapid than the loss of muscle in older people. So what I'm trying to say is maintaining its strength is important, not just for athletics, sports, or just to impress anyone. It's important for health. Because, again, I believe there's a direct correlation between muscle strength and muscle health, muscle health and muscle size. Now, there are different ways to increase muscle strength. The most obvious way is increasing the weight. My method when I was competing in the off season, I would try and gain muscle size. Back then, we had a situation where we would train, let's say, 3-4 months to prepare for a contest. We'd go start dieting, maybe training a little harder. Very few people did aerobics back then, but some people would include a little bit of aerobic training, maybe running. But the thing is, during what was called the off season, that's when people would do what they call bulking up. They would purposely try and gain weight because there seemed to be a relationship between gaining weight and gaining muscle strength. And the idea was that if you gain muscle strength, you would also be able to lift heavier weights, which would mean more muscle size. And then the trick after that was to retain as much muscle size as you built during the off season into the contest season, so that when you competed, you were bigger, but you had shed most of your body fat, and that was basically a winning look. So the first way to increase muscle strength is increasing the weight. You could also, if you can increase the weight, now, I should add, now the way I did it when I trained, I would have what I call a repetition goal. With me, it usually came out to between 12 and 15 repetitions. What that means is, in any particular exercise, on my strongest set, let's say I did 3 or 4 sets per exercise. If I was able to reach my goal of between 12 and 15 repetitions, for the next workout, I would slightly increase the weight. And when I mean slightly, I mean slightly. I'm talking about as little as a half a pound to a pound. That, believe it or not, made a difference, where instead of being able to do 12, the next workout I was down to, let's say, 7 or 8 reps. And then I would gradually add reps with each workout until, again, I reached 12 or 15. And then I would add more weight. And eventually I would add a considerable amount of weight. Sometimes I'd go up 20 pounds or more in any particular exercise. And along with that added weight came added muscle size, contrary to what some of these people say. There's also, a recent study came out just recently. A study tested this idea and found that if you can't increase the weight for any reason, let's say that you're whatever the reason, you're having some trouble increasing the amount of weight used in any particular exercise, you could still gain muscle strength and even muscle size by increasing the reps, even past 15 reps, because the whole trick is intensity. By forcing extra repetitions, you're increasing the intensity level of the muscle, so you can continue to maintain gains if you're able to not necessarily increase the weight, but increase the repetitions. There's also another consideration is how many days a week that you lift. Generally speaking, you have to allow a certain amount of recuperation between workouts. Usually it takes at least anywhere from 48 to 72 hours that's the general amount of time interval between workouts. Larger muscles might take a little longer, like 72 hours. Smaller muscles you can get away with 48 hours or 2 days. But what they've shown in studies is that for most people, the ideal number of times to hit a muscle each week is twice a week. A lot of bodybuilders prefer to train each muscle once a week, but they do more sets. They use a greater volume. What the studies show is if the volume is equal, in other words, if you do the same amount of total sets in 2 workouts a week that you do in 1 workout a week, the gains are about the same. So it boils down to a personal choice of whether you want to train a muscle once a week or twice a week. Speaking for myself, I've always felt funny training a muscle once a week. It seemed like it was too much rest for the muscle. So all the years I've trained, I've always trained each muscle twice a week. For a while, I was training my calves. Years ago, there was this idea that, the calves were a tough muscle. You should train them more often. And I actually did train my calves 6 days a week for a while. I did up to 20 sets. I've mentioned this in prior videos. I was only in my early 20s. For the first 2 months, I actually made some size gains. But after that, my calves shrunk terribly. It was gross overtraining. You can't train the calves. If you train them correctly, you can't train them 6 days a week. The other muscle that a lot of people talk about training more frequently is the abdominals. There's a school of thought that if you want to have a smaller waist and better looking abs, you should train them every day. That is nonsense. The appearance of your abdominals or how much fat you have in your waist is more a function of your diet and your aerobic training. The aerobics burn the most fat because fat is burned in the presence of oxygen. The more oxygen you take in, the more fat you burn. It also has to do with mitochondria. The more mitochondria you have in muscle, the greater the ability to burn fat, and so on and so forth. So the idea of having to train the abdominals every day, especially with higher reps, like 1,000 reps a day, is just absolute nonsensical. Nonsensical. Then another factor is, especially pertaining to strength increase, is how long you rest between sets. They've done several studies showing that if you want to, if your goal is to increase muscular size and strength, you should rest no less than 2 to 3 minutes between sets. If you rest less than that, the muscle, it has to do with fuel recovery in the muscle. When you train hard, in each set you deplete a certain amount of the energy substrates in the muscle that power muscular contraction. It takes a little bit of time for the muscle to kind of regenerate these energy sources. And what they found is it takes ideal at a minimal of 2 minutes, and up to 3 to 4 minutes would be even better. This has to do with creatine, creatine, allowing ATP to be regenerating in muscle, but it takes at least 2 to 3 minutes. And of course, there's a number of sets. You don't want to overtrain. You don't want to do too many sets. Ideally, they found that about 3 to 4 sets per exercise is ideal. If you're on a high intensity, meaning you're training to failure, and you're, let's say, doing higher reps, lighter weight, then you could probably get away with 1 or 2 sets. But with the traditional type of training, 3 sets is usually enough. Steve Reeves, who won the Mr. America in 1947, Miss Universe 1950. Steve Reeves, he was a Hercules in the movies. He never trained more than 3 times a week, and he never did more than 3 sets per exercise. And he had a tremendous physique. So, of course, he had great genetics too, but that's another story. So, another question that's often asked is, how long does it build strength? Well, when you first start training, let's say when you're a beginner, your strength gains actually come before your muscle gains. And the reason for this is that it has to do with neuromuscular functions. As you start training, you have a better connection between the brain and the muscles, and you get more of a neuromuscular stimulation, which tends to increase muscle strength. So the strength comes first, followed by the muscle gains. Now, it might look like you're getting muscle, building muscle, even after as little as 2 or 3 weeks of training. But what that really is kind of like a localized water retention in muscle. It's not true muscle. That comes after a couple of weeks of training. Even with the strength gains, it might take as long as 6 weeks or more to show significant strength gains. But like I say, you will see strength gains right from the start. So as far as the muscle hypertrophy or the muscle gains themselves, that usually takes between 8 and 12 weeks when you begin training. And again, this can vary depending on the type of nutrition you follow, how often you train, and your training intensity, how old you are, and your sex. The older you are, the longer it's going to take to build muscle when you first start training. And women usually can build muscle as fast as men, maybe a little bit slower when they first start to train. If you want to increase your strength, again, as I mentioned earlier, you have to increase the amount of weight you use. Now, what's the minimal threshold of weight to lift if you want to get stronger? Well, that comes out to about 60% of your 1 rep maximum. In other words, whatever you could lift for 1 rep, you'd have to test this. You use 60% of that weight, and that would be your minimal amount to increase muscle strength. If you use 80% of your 1 rep maximum, that's even better for strength gains if you've already trained for a while. They've done studies. I mentioned this in past videos. Recent studies show that if you lift light weights equal to only anywhere from 30 to 40% of 1 rep maximum, but you do higher reps as much as 25 or 30 to total muscular failure, you can gain as much muscle size as you can by lifting weights equal to one rep 1 rep maximum, a 90% 1 rep maximum. In other words, you could build as much muscle size training with the lighter weights if you train high reps to failure as lifting much heavier weights. However, you don't gain the strength. In other words, you can gain the muscle size, but the only way to gain the strength, there's no way around it. You have to lift heavier weights. What about training to failure? Well, that depends. If you're going to use the light system of, I mentioned earlier, where you train, let's say, higher reps, 20 to 25, that's to induce something called metabolic strength. I don't want to get into it. I've discussed it in my applied metabolics and past videos, but suffice to say that if you do that system, higher reps with lower weight, you're going to have to train to complete muscular failure. If you just do a lot of reps with lightweight, you're not going to get anything. You're not going to make any gains. However, if you lift heavy weights, let's say the 80% of 1 rep max, you do not have to go to failure. You don't have to train to failure at all. Why? Because when you lift heavy weights, you already immediately tap in to what they call the type 2B fast twitch muscle fibers. Those are the most fibers amenable to strength and muscle size gains. So again, it depends on how you train. If you're older, the studies show, let's say you're over 40, you could get the same benefit. Let's say you're training with moderate weights. You could get the same benefit by training to near failure as you can train. You don't need to train to complete failure. In fact, some very recent studies have tested this in even younger men, and they show that training to near failure, let's say training to, 2 or 3 reps right before failure, you'll get the same muscle and strength gains as you would training to complete failure. So I mentioned earlier about the a 2016 study observed that muscle mass increased when the study subjects performed 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps to muscle failure. So, in other words, you don't have to necessarily use lighter weights. You could use moderate weights, do, let's say, 3 sets, 8 to 12 to muscular failure. You'll also get increased muscle mass. And again, you want to try and rest about 2 to 3 minutes between sets. If you rest a minute or less, it tends to increase muscle endurance, but unfortunately, you don't gain as much muscle strength. If you want to increase muscle endurance, you use muscle loads equal to about 40 to 60% of your 1 rep, 1 rep maximum, and just do higher reps. You don't have to go to failure. That will increase local muscle endurance. So what about muscle power? This is something more in the realm of athletes, but interestingly enough, they found in older people that doing exercises that will increase muscle power for some reason helps them get stronger and maintain the muscle they have. Now, how do you get increased muscle power? Involves force moved, applying a force at a certain length at a faster speed. So what does this mean in practical terms? Let's say you're an older person doing a exercise, a bench press or something. What you want to do is in the lifting portion, you want to push the weight up as hard as you can, almost like punching it up, but you control it on the way down. For anybody, young or old, that's how you increase muscle power. It's called explosive lifts. And this is, I used to do a lot of this when I worked with professional athletes. It's called power training. When you do power training, you don't have to go to muscle failure. You don't go to muscle failure. And you usually do 1 to 3 sets of anywhere from 4 to 10 reps. The rest periods are about 3 minutes or more. And that's how you increase muscle power. So The other ways to other factors involved in building strength include warming up. You don't have to do stretching or anything. In fact, stretching actually decreases strength. If you do a extensive stretching exercise, that's the way you hold the stretch more than 30 seconds right before you engage in lifting, you reduce your muscle strength by 24%. So you don't have to do any stretching right before you train, but it is a good idea if you're going to be lifting moderate to heavy weights to do some sort of warm-up. I usually use a light weight, and a weight light enough to do about 20-25 reps. I don't count that. That's my warm-up set, and then I increase the weight for the following sets. You want to try and use good form. Don't cheat. Don't throw the weight up. Let your muscle lift the weight rather than you're throwing it up and that type of thing. If you use bad form, it makes you prone to injury. You want to, of course, always do progressive overload. As I said, I told you my system earlier. Whenever you set a goal number of reps, whenever you reach that goal, slightly increase the weight 1 to 2 pounds, and that's progressive training. That is the best way to build muscle size and strength, especially if you're a natural bodybuilder not using any type of anabolic drugs. In fact, if you don't use any type of anabolic drugs and you don't progressively overload, you'll make initial gains, as I said, because of the neuromuscular effect when you first start training. But after that, your gains will become very slow. But if you do progressive overload, you'll be able to make regular gains up to a point depending on your genetics. Compound exercise, you probably heard, are the best exercises for building muscle strength. This is the old standard exercise like squats, bench press, barbell curls. Compound exercise are exercises that involve multiple joints, bent over rows. All these things are because they involve multiple joints, it involves more muscle mass, and it tends to increase strength more than isolation exercises like dumbbell curls or triceps extensions, that type of thing. So let me see what else I could tell you about this. As far as eating, you want to try and get a minimal 1.6 grams per kilogram of protein, 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. You can go up to 2.2 grams, which is a gram of protein per about a pound of body weight. So whatever you want to, let's say you want to weigh 150, you would eat 150 grams of protein if you want to increase your muscle size and strength. A recent study just came out, I talked about in another video, suggesting that there's no limit to, they used to think that if you consume more than 25 to 30 grams of protein, the excess protein was oxidized in the liver, wasn't used for muscle protein synthesis. This study found that consuming over 100 grams of protein, all of it was used for muscle synthesis. But still, I'd still basically shoot for a goal of at least, anywhere from 30, if you're a younger person, 30 to 40 grams, 50 grams if you're a person over 40, and you want to divide these protein meals into several small meals a day to maintain optimal nitrogen or amino acid in your blood. So if you're not training that hard, or I don't know why, if let's say you're not interested in gaining a lot of muscle, then you could take in the recommended amount of protein, which is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight or 0.36 grams per pound. That's the lowest that you should ever take in. There's a couple of vegans online who are claiming that you don't need to take in hardly any protein at all. They're telling people to take in 10 or 15, 20 grams of protein. That will probably cause sarcopenia even in a younger person. That is very stupid. Ignore these people. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I think, let me see how long. All right, it's up to the 25-minute mark. I think I've included just about every factor known to increase muscle strength. These are tried and true methods. They'll work for anybody. So, just be conscientious of all the factors that I've mentioned. And also I should mention that consistency is very important also. You don't want to do a hit and miss thing where you train for, a week and then take a week off and that kind of stuff. You'll get much more consistent strength gains if you train consistently. It's okay to miss a workout every so often. But the one thing you should keep in mind, and I found this out with myself, especially recently, when I had to be hospitalized and I lost 33 pounds. Keep this in mind. Your strength declines when you don't exercise a lot faster than your muscle. In other words, your muscle will actually last longer if you've been training for a while, but the strength will go fairly not rapidly, but it'll go faster than the muscle size loss if you stop training for any reason. So keep that in mind. And anyway, that's about it for strength training. If you want any more information on nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research, ergogenic aids, hormonal therapy, effective fat loss techniques, supplement science, which supplements work, which ones don't. I'm not aligned with any supplement company, so I will tell you the truth about supplements. I have no axe to grind, no dog in the fight, so I'm going to tell you the truth. There's more topics covered in my Applied Metabolics publication than any other digital publication, and there's no other publication in the entire internet that covers this type of material that has 60 years of experience behind them like I do. There's nobody that can match that. And also, I've been a professional writer for probably about 48 years. I know how to write for the public. Applied Metabolics is written in a magazine style. It's not written like a science journal like some of these digital publications. They have good information, but they're written by these kind of recent graduates and stuff, and they're writing a dissertation. They're very hard to read. They use a lot of technical terms that they don't explain. So if you can't understand what you're reading, it's not going to do you much good. You don't have to worry about that with Applied Metabolics. It's written in very easy. Anybody who got as far as the 6th grade will be easily able to understand everything in Applied Metabolics. When you subscribe, I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on health, nutrition, and exercise science. I have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics website where current subscribers only can send me short questions about anything they might have read in Applied Metabolics that they're not sure of, or anything else that comes to mind related to nutrition exercise. I'll be happy to answer them as an appreciation of their subscription, and also as a kind of a bonus for their subscription to Applied Metabolics. And again, I only answer current subscribers only. Applied Metabolics, you could subscribe at www.appliedmetabolics.com. Again, www.appliedmetabolics.com. Also, if you like my videos, if you think they're of any benefit, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and by all means tell others about the channel. Just remember one thing: my videos are not fancy. I don't have fancy graphics, anything like that. But you can be assured that all the information I give you is 100% true, which you can't say about 90% of the YouTube videos related to health and nutrition and exercise are absolute bullshit. They're garbage, and they'll lead you astray. They're very confusing. They contradict each other. They're no good. So the one thing I'll say is, if you watch my videos, you'll get the straight information. You'll get the whole truth and nothing but, like they used to say. So you, again, subscribe to Applied Metabolics. It's not expensive at all, by the way. It costs less than a latte at one of those coffee places. Subscribe to my channel. Let others know about it. I'd appreciate it. And if you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. They are the best. Thank you.